we are going to make some surprise improvements to our model. And while they are going to be a surprise for all of you, this is stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes, for a long time, really doing the analysis, doing the deep dive to make sure that all of these improvements we're going to make are moving the model forward for you guys. And again, when we built the LPT model, we got most of it right. There are some things that, again, we're going to improve here today. For me, I'm one of these things, like, just because I came up with it doesn't mean it's necessarily right. I'm never going to let my ego get in the way of doing the right things for you guys and for this brokerage. And so as we work this out, if there's improvements we need to make, we're going to make them. If we see revolutionary or good ideas coming to play, maybe from another brokerage, we're going to put those into effect here at LPT Realty. It doesn't need to be my idea to be a good idea. I think a lot of leaders make that mistake as they're building something amazing like this. So today we're going to announce 4, I would say, really big improvements to the LPT model.
All right, guys, welcome back to Behind the Scenes with LPT Realty. We've got episode number 4 here, and this is going to be a huge one. Do not miss this, because we have some major announcements that are going to be rolling out during this particular episode. This was an incredible Motivational Monday call that Robert Palmer took us through live from a mansion in LA, which was pretty awesome. So you'll at least want to check out the scenery there. Really, really amazing stuff coming. Again, this comes from our Motivational Monday call that we do live with Robert Palmer every Monday at 10. We take you guys behind the scenes so that you're up to date on all the things going on with LPT, that you understand what's going on in the real estate market, the mortgage industry, and have the best talking points to have intelligent conversations with your customers. My name is Mark Ammons.
I'm AJ Ackerman.
And we are Elevated Agents.
I'm excited about this one. This is awesome, man. LPT showed up at FUBCON. That's Follow Up Boss, if you guys didn't know. We talked about how Robert shows up on Monday Motivational wherever he is, and they are literally in Bel Air in a mansion overlooking LA, but it's all foggy. It's hilarious. So you definitely want to watch it just for the comedy sometimes, because these guys bantering back and forth is funny. But here's the real thing, is that Follow Up Boss is one of Robert's favorite CRMs, and they've been talking about trying to work something out to where we get Follow Up Boss as a company. It's not set in stone yet, but one of the coolest things about the beginning of this Monday Motivational is that Robert goes over the difference of understanding the value of what CRMs do and the value of the CRMs. Just to give you an example, Chime is the one that you get for free, right? It's a great CRM, and he talks about the focus of it being a lead generation. Now, I don't want to take all of his thunder, but be sure that you really pay attention, because this is really powerful for agents to understand as you grow your business and you start adding leads. When I first got in the business, I did cold calling, and then as I built and I grew and I added more money into my business, I reinvested, right? Because we only have so much time. So systems are really important. So I love the fact that he talks about the difference of systems, the value of the systems, and the value of understanding the process of where the lead goes. So you guys check this out, take a listen. It's really exciting, and it's really cool to watch them in this mansion.
All right, we have Dave setting us up at the craziest locations where, as Robert mentioned, that we are in LA, and we are on this Bel Air hillside mansion. It's really nice, infinity edge pool right behind us, and then overlooking this nice ravine. So
everyone should definitely keep their eye out for an episode of Matt Hodge Cribs.
Yeah,
LPT
absolutely.
Cribs coming up.
Yeah,
coming
we're
up
doing
soon.
that today. But cool, yeah. So we're out here. I'm gonna just kind of kick it right off. We are out here at FUBCON, and excited to meet you who are also attending and make some new relationships. And I know a big question has been, is Follow Up Boss is FUB. Is Follow Up Boss coming to LPT? And so while we don't have a definitive answer today, we are always looking, to try to get the best and align with the best providers. So Robert, what are your thoughts on, Follow Up Boss and the relationship that we've got?
Yeah, look, so I mentioned this at Grand Prix last year. I'm personally a big fan of Follow Up Boss. We, as a brokerage, we went with Chime because we wanted to provide an all-in-one. And I believe Chime is the best all-in-one solution, where you have your CRM and your IDX and everything absolutely connected. I personally, when I think about the world, I look at like the all-in-one, the Chime CRM, as more of what I would call a lead management system. So the idea being that your lead management system, where you are working with your colder leads, your nurtures that you're trying to get figured out, inside of a lead management system, which I think Chime is a fantastic one. And then Chime obviously has a great IDX. But then when you get into more of CRM, which is your sphere of influence, what I would call a connection. So like once that cold IDX lead has moved into, hey, we have connected, it's like I'm in a like a cryo chamber with all this fog moving on around me. It's
that's
good.
coming from the
like this is
from
so
the pool
good
behind
between the
us.
fog and the light. This is good. And I'm like, I'm speaking the truth about CRMs here from the fog. Yeah, great effects, Dave. This is fantastic. And I messed it all up. I'm going to start over. So anyway, yeah, CRM. So I think of Chime, again, a fantastic all-in-one, and this idea of like a lead management system. So before you have spoken to the client, or maybe you've had a colder conversation with them, if it's on the buy side, they're not really ready to start touring homes with you. To me, that lives in that lead management system inside of Chime, which simplifies a little bit of how we're trying to use Chime. It can really integrate tightly with the IDX to know what actions people are taking and then send out the correct action plans. The Chime AI is great for that, but then we get to a point where later in the relationship, once they're more of a connection, you've spoken, you're now starting to tour houses, and then for past client follow-up, I believe in that situation that a dedicated CRM is a better solution. And so I talked about this last year at Grand Prix. I really believe you need both, right? And obviously, you've got to be at a certain level of success for both. We as a brokerage can't afford to provide both for free because they do get very expensive. So we made the decision to provide Chime for free. And then we have continued to work on how are we going to integrate Follow Up Boss in, and how are we going to try to get the best deal for our agents for Follow Up Boss to make sense as an add-on to our package. And so I remain very committed to that. I'm a big fan of Follow Up Boss's product. I believe that a business that has both Chime and Follow Up Boss can be very effective for agents who have enough scale to afford whatever that extra cost is going to be. And so we're out here at FUBCON. We're going to be meeting with Follow Up Boss leadership throughout at some point during the week, and really kind of talking about what should this LPT and Follow Up Boss relationship look like. We've been beta testing Follow Up Boss inside of the internal leads program. We've got some pretty good ideas. We can probably get it to 80% of my vision for the integration with where we are today in our discussions with Follow Up Boss, but we really want to try to get it all the way to the finish line. So we're here. We're in LA. We came to their convention, and there's a good amount of LPT agents out here, which is really fantastic. A lot of you are currently using Follow Up Boss in your business. And yeah, we're here to try to negotiate the absolute best relationship possible between LPT and Follow Up Boss.
All right, guys, hope you really enjoyed that. It's amazing to see LPT showing up so big at all of these different events. And again, we've got a lot of agents here already that are using Follow Up Boss, that have used it and are using it in a very similar way to kind of what Robert talked about, and that, there's not necessarily a one size fits all when it comes to a CRM. He believes that if for a one size fits all, Chime is the best one out there, and that's why we have it. It's amazing to know that he's out there working for us every day, trying to get us more options so that we can expand and grow our businesses even more and serve our customers even better. So really exciting. This next part is the thing you really don't want to miss, and we don't want to spoil anything. There are 4 major announcements that are really changes to the LPT model, and these are big things that you're going to want to know. These are big changes to the model, not hugely structural, but they're things that people have been asking for. And again, we've got a leadership team that when they find things are not working as well as they could, or there's things that we could improve, even if it's an idea that comes from another brokerage, we're not too proud to adopt that. So we're going to kick this to Robert. He's got some really exciting stuff. Go ahead and take a listen.
The LPT model, and then we're also going to announce a state. And so I guess I'll let you choose the order you want to do those two things. I'm really agnostic.
Yeah, no, I think we go with the big one right out the gate.
Is that the state? What do you call on the big one? The state or the other 4 things?
No, everyone knows state's going to be announced.
All
I
right.
think the
All
other
right.
4 things.
So we'll finish with the states.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Can we get the first slide up?
All right. We're throwing a lot at Dave today, guys. So.
All right. I can't even see it. What's it say?
Cap.
All right, perfect. All right, so one of the first things we are doing is we're going to move everyone's cap reset dates out to the last day of the month. So this means you're going to get somewhere between 1 and 30 days of free time on your cap as we make this adjustment, and then going forward, it will go back to the year. You can come back to me, Dave. We're doing this because we recognize that when your cap resets at a weird time in the middle of the month and a deal pushes, it obviously can be confusing, right? It can be confusing for our team when they first do the DA, you were capped, and then maybe the closing happens 2 or 3 days later, and now you're not capped anymore, and we have to go back and redo a bunch of paperwork. And then obviously for you guys, a closing happening on the 16th versus the 17th doesn't matter to anyone else in the transaction, but it can make a big difference to you because it can cross your cap date. And so by moving all of the cap dates out to the very last day of the month, now you know if the deal moves months, then it may go from one cap to another cap. But yeah, so we're going to move all the cap dates out. Our gift to you is the free days that you get in the middle, but we're going to move all those cap dates out to the last day of the month. So when someone new joins, their first cap year will be, up to 1 year and 29 days. So, whatever that ends up being, depending on the day they join. We also don't want people trying to say, well, hey, it's best to join at the end of the month, the beginning of the month. We want you to join when it's best for you to join, and then we will move the cap date out to the last day of the month. This is going to take effect on October 1st. And so we will get a new ICA, either an amendment or a new ICA out. Lewis is working on that by October 1st. So the last week of September will be normal. And then starting in October, everyone's cap date, if you cap anywhere in the month of October, will go to October 31st. And so we just think this is a really good, way to make life easier for you all, make life easier for us. And again, help you better balance when you're capping and where transactions fit. So that's the first one. And we're going to build from here. That's kind of an easy one.
Yeah.
And again, this is something we really should have realized from the jump, and we didn't, but we're making the change now. And we think this, again, is a good improvement to the LPT model. All right, Dave, number 2.
Number 2.
All right, this is one we have talked about in the past. We are officially making this effective, again, October 1st. So every agent will be allowed to make a one-time election of whether they would like their double-sided deals, meaning that you represent both the buyer and the seller in a transaction, of whether you would like that to be counted as one transaction or two transactions. And it's really interesting. We have very strong opinions in both camps here. So the people who think it should count for two believe there's no even discussion around whether it should be one, and the people who believe it should count for one believe there's no discussion around whether it should be two. And so we decided the best way to do this is to embrace agent choice. We're all about agent choice here at LPT Realty. And so you get to make a one-time choice. It'll be inside of Connect, again, starting October 1st. You'll make that one-time choice, and then you will decide whether you want your transactions where you represent the buyer and the seller to count as one transaction, meaning you will pay one set of fees, 195, one core transaction calculation, or if you want it to count as two. And then you will pay two sets of 195s. If you're a business builder, 2 times the 500, both go into cap, and then it will count as 2 core transactions depending on the splits. So again, we want to make it your choice. You get to make that choice one time so that you can align it with your beliefs and your business model. Again, agent choice is first here at LPT Realty. And this is, again, we've mentioned this before, but we are finally putting it into effect starting October 1st.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one because there's a lot of people who want it for different reasons. Some people want to cap faster, some people want the additional transactions. So again, I love that it's agent choice and they can decide what makes most sense for them. So really excited to bring that to the team.
Yeah, so I see Ryan asked about pros and cons. So obviously there's a win and an upside and a downside to each. Do you want the extra units towards your badges, towards your qualifications, towards your units, or do you want to pay less fees? And I think that's really what it comes down to. So do you want the volume to count for you twice in your numbers? Do you want the core transactions to count twice for you in your numbers, which can help you achieve white badge, silver badge, gold badge, and if you're a rev share partner, black badge faster? Or do you want to only count it as one, which means you save the $195 if you're a rev share partner, or you save the $500 and the $195 if you're a business builder? Remember, the $500s go to cap, so you are capping faster, getting that out of the way. Again, totally your choice, but those are kind of the things to think about. The key is once you choose, that's it. You can't change your mind later. So this is a one-time choice we're giving everybody. It's not about choosing what's best for your business today. It's about choosing what you believe is the right way to account for these deals. And so that belief should never change. So it's a one-time choice.
All right. Okay. I like it. You're on a roll here.
I am on a roll.
Are you ready to see what's behind?
Number 3 is kind of a big one.
Okay.
I'm gonna give a little background here before we not yet, Dave.
Right,
hold on.
behind door number
Number
3.
3 is a big one. This is one that we've been looking really hard at since January. So this is something that another brokerage came up with, and obviously we watch the industry and the competitors very closely. Again, this is one of those things where just because it's not our idea, we didn't come up with it, doesn't mean it's not fantastic. And culturally, I feel like this is a really big thing for us. as we look at what we're building here at LPT and how we want people to interact and how we want to tear down silos and really make sure that everyone is one big community. This is a great idea that somebody else came up with that we are very excited to put into play here. We've taken a lot of time over the last, I guess 9 months to really analyze the results they're getting from it, polling people in the community, what they think about it, what are the long-term implications. And so go ahead and throw the slide up, Dave. We are announcing dual sponsorship of agents. All right.
It's probably going to come back. All right. Dual sponsorship.
Dual sponsorship
like, what?
of
What?
agents. All right. So again, one of the things that's really important to us here is that we do not create these silos, and one of the problems or risks of a multi-level marketing, a rev share based model is that you can end up with these silos where people don't want to cooperate across different downlines. And we have done an amazing job of that here at LPT Realty because I see very little issue where people are trying to come from a scarcity mindset or not having, that right mentality when it comes. But there are still situations where two agents from different downlines are both connected to someone who wants to join LPT Realty. And then that creates this conundrum of who does the person choose? We've actually had some people not come to LPT because they didn't want to hurt either person's feelings. And that's not great. And the other thing is, if we allow this this dual sponsorship, now the downlines really start to blend together. Somebody can have sponsors from two completely different organizations, and while we are an open ecosystem today, now it really starts to tie things together financially. So we've been watching this, like I said, for the last 9 months. We are going to basically do it almost exactly how the other brokerage does it. One of the things they did when they announced this is each agent gets 0.45% credit for the sponsorship, right? So it's not 50-50, it's 45% each. And when they first announced this, we were trying to figure out what's the motivation there? What does this look like? And through modeling it out, what we've realized is there's a little bit of chance here for people to try to game the system or team up and always do dual sponsorship. And that is not the intention. Dual sponsorship is here for you to use it when it's really necessary, when you've got that person where two agents were both very impactful. And so the idea is by making it a little less attractive than solo sponsorship with the 45%, 45%, that it kind of balances all things out. There's some other impacts it has on just the way kind of the levels model. And so again, we spent a lot of time modeling this thing out. We spent a lot of time figuring out what is the best way to do this. And so we believe at first glance that they did get it right the way they set it up with the 45% credit going to each of the two sponsors. We're obviously going to watch that over time. If we feel like that was not the right move, we will improve it. We'll never make it any worse, but we may improve it in the future if it feels like that's not right. Based on our modeling and my gut, we believe it is. And so when two agents have dual sponsorship, each agent will get 45% of the credit for that agent, which means the number of shares of stock will be issued. We'll take the baseline amount times 45% for each agent and then apply their stock multiplier. The rev share revenue, 45% will go to each agent and their upline. Right. And so by applying that 45% multiplier across the board, we feel like it's a really effective way to allow for dual sponsorship when it is necessary, but also not create a situation where now everyone is trying to do dual sponsorship on every single transaction that they're doing, every single sponsorship coming in, because that is not in the intent. One other thing we are doing, and this is unique to us, as we looked at it, one of the risks we do see is for people to potentially try to use the dual sponsorship to game the frontline qualifying system. And so we're going to have a requirement that half of whatever your frontline qualifier requirements are has to be from full sponsorship. All right, and we're going to put out an FAQ about this. I know this gets a little heady, but if you need 20 active direct sponsored agents to unlock a level, at least 10 of those must be solo sponsorship. 10 of those must have named you as their only sponsor, and the balance can be made up from dual sponsorship. But at least half of your requirement to unlock a level has to be from solo sponsorship, and it can be all from solo sponsorship, but at least half of it has to be from solo sponsorship. Again, we feel like that's a fair kind of protection to make sure that people aren't trying to load half sponsors under other people to try to help them unlock levels and things. And so that was, kind of our solutions to trying to build something sustainable and long-term that fits into culture with us, that allows us to have these broader organizations where people can cooperate at a higher level. Maybe two people from a different downline, both really good friends with an agent. They're both going to go try to recruit them here. We want to embrace all that, but we also want to balance that out with making sure we are protecting the long-term viability of the program and protecting all of you as shareholders in the brokerage. And so that idea of the half of your frontline, half of your active directs for a level must be solo sponsorship, we think is a good mix to protect the brokerage and make sure that the program is never abused.
Yeah.
All right. So we're shortening the 120-day waiting period down to 90 days. While we remain committed to the idea that you need to be here and understand our culture and our tools before you start recruiting other people, we think that 90 is enough. So we're going from 120 down to 90. And so obviously if you've been here, this again takes effect October 1st. So if you've been here 89 days, then starting in October, you will begin to earn rev share. Anyone who's been here longer than that is already earning rev share. No, we're not going back and recalculating it for people who have already joined. So it's not retroactive.
Oh, that's not the question already in there.
But it will take effect. So again, if you joined 90 days ago, you're going to 90 days. If you joined 120 days ago, you've joined 120 days ago, and we're very sorry, but we appreciate you being a part of LPT. The other cool thing we're doing is we're going to have an exemption for existing team members. All right. So let me explain what this means. So one of the things that people have brought up, and Dave, you can come back to me, is we don't want you to focus on recruiting during that first 90 days because we want you focused on your real estate business. But I've had some people make a great point to me and say, but Robert, I'm bringing a real estate team with me. I don't have a choice. I can't leave them at the old brokerage for 90 days or 120 days while I learn your systems. I have to bring my existing team with me. And so we're going to have an exemption where a team who comes over as a team. So they had to have been on your team at the old brokerage, and they have to still be on your team at the new brokerage. All right. And we're thinking there is going to be a minimum team size of maybe 3 to 5. We're going to finalize that by October 1st when this goes official. Again, like a team of 1 or 2 is not going to happen. And so if you have team members who are with you at your old brokerage and then join with you from the very day one here, we will let you begin to earn revenue share on those team members immediately. Okay. And again, this is, so this is the team leader directly sponsoring team members who come with them. All right, that's what we are trying to solve for, because we get it. If I'm a 5-person team and I'm coming over from another brokerage, we are all already a cohesive unit. And so I'm not going out and recruiting new people. If I recruit new people, those will still have the 90-day waiting period for me to earn. But my existing team that comes over as a unit where I am their sponsor because I brought them and we all came together, that is where we are going to exempt the waiting period. Again, we're going to put out a good FAQ on how exactly this works. And if you have questions in the chat, we will review them and add them to the FAQ. But again, that will take effect October 1st.
Wow, Mark, 4 big announcements. These are huge. Some of these make a really big difference. Now, for those of you who have never been part of an iCloud business or understand some of these, I get that. But for those of you who do get this, right, for those of you who are at iCloud businesses, understand these are some big improvements. And the one that I really think is the most interesting is this co-sponsorship concept. Now, one of the things about co-sponsorship is this is not something that you necessarily offer to everybody. But what happens is in these businesses, as we're growing and you have this revenue share option, sometimes it is a hard choice to decide, hey, do I want to work with this person or do I want to work with this person? Where the cool thing about LPT is that we do have a lot of cross downline cooperation. So I work with agents from all over LPT that have nothing to do with our so-called organization. But what's really cool about this is that when you have those specific moments where, let's say we are working with somebody from, a different state like Texas or Nevada, but they also want to work and be underneath a team member there or another person that has nothing to do with what our organization is. This allows that opportunity. So I think the co-sponsorship thing is really, really big. It's a big deal. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's great. The cool thing with LPT Realty is that we started out with the intention of creating a different culture from the very beginning. And we've seen how certain decisions in a model like ours will over the long term kind of manifest itself. And so Robert was very intentional from the beginning about designing a brokerage model that was inclusive to all agents and at least minimize the amount of silos and islands and things that you create. And so part of that initially initially was done with the fact that we cannot offer anything of value in exchange for someone naming us as their sponsor. And so that really helped to kind of clear the lines a little bit to where now someone's not naming you as their sponsor just because you're going to give them a lot of free stuff. And then this other agent over here who doesn't have the ability to offer all that free stuff now, can't. And so the purpose of the sponsorship really was for the person who influenced you most in order to join the brokerage as a person that you should name as your sponsor. And then from there, once you're in the model, you've got access to all the other downlines and all the other people. You can join a different team. And so I think that by doing this, it does make it easier. And there's going to be a lot of times where for most agents, there is a clear person who was the primary driver for them being interested and deciding to join LPT. There will be other cases where that's not going to be the case, like where maybe you have two people in the same town and you got somebody who wants to join the brokerage and doesn't want to upset either, and they choose not to join just so they don't have to make that decision, right? And that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the brokerage. It doesn't help the agent. It doesn't help the sponsoring agents. No one wins there. And so I think creating this opportunity to now say, like, this person really heavily influenced me to join, but this person did as well. Now, instead of having to kind of pick one or the other, you do have the option to say, hey, I would like both of y'all to be my sponsors. So I think it's really great and just continues to add to the great culture that we have here at LPT of collaboration and cooperation and avoiding these silos and these, heavy, distinct downlines. So I think it's great. I think it just continues to build on what was already a great model, and I love it.
That's what I really love the idea of this constant improvement, of constant looking at what's working, what's not working, and what do we need to do to grow that helps everybody out, right? It's that agent choice concept. It's that agent first concept. And it's how do we help each person in this and transitioning market, right? We're in a transitioning market, but also preparing to go public, I think, is a big deal. And how do we help agents in each area? It's so funny. I always crack up when people, you see people on social media and they say sort of things like, oh, LPT is the discount brokerage for new agents. And that cracks me up because, to be quite honest, the majority of people that we talk to are not discount people. They're people that are doing big business, big teams. We have the top team right now, I think, in South Carolina, North Nevada, Tennessee. Like, it's pretty wild. Now, some of the other improvements, I just want to make sure you guys understand. If you're a top agent and you're watching this right now and you have some thoughts and ideas on the other improvements, especially the double-sided deal, the our date ending at the end of the month, this is something that you definitely want to schedule a Zoom call with Mark and I, because I can explain the value of those and why they're so important with you. Because when I was as a top producer, when I was selling 35, 45, 50 transactions per year, this was a big deal at the previous company I was at in order to earn my stock rewards. And so this is just something, again, that's helping you as a top agent earn more opportunity to have more value long term. And I love the concept of value with this. So really, really exciting. I'm going to let you finish this off, Mark, but super exciting. I love these Monday motivationals. I hope you do too. To get this information every single week has been fantastic.
Yeah, so the last thing we want to bring to you guys is another state expansion announcement. Again, we were doing one new state every week for 7 weeks, and we still have a handful left to go. And so we're going to kick it over to Robert for a somewhat surprising twist on this week's state expansion.
So here we are, sitting at this beautiful mansion in the hills of Los Angeles, in the amazing state of California. And so sitting here in California, I feel like there is only one state that would make sense for us to announce today. Drum roll.
Let's hear.
Alabama. All right. Alabama will be opening on October 1st. Big win for a lot of our agents in the Panhandle. And during our soft launch, we were letting our Florida agents who had an Alabama license do business in both. Now we are going to officially be open for Alabama agents to join LPT Realty. A lot of exciting stuff happening there. It finishes out our march west along the coast, up there in the Panhandle. And so we're very excited to officially welcome the great state of Alabama to the LPT Realty family beginning October 1st. Awesome. So just about a week from today.
Yeah. People are like, Alabama, you guys are in California. What's happening here?
Come on. I got to throw you a little bit of a curveball, right? We're having fun here on Motivational Monday.
All right, Alabama real estate agents. So if you have been watching the LPT boom going on around you, you finally now have an opportunity to participate. We are officially open in Alabama starting on November 1st. So if you are interested in joining, the first thing you want to do, go ahead and get on the wait list. I've got a link down in the description below you can click on, get all signed up. That way, as soon as we're ready to start sending out ICAs to join, you can go ahead and get signed up. The next thing you want to do, right below that, you'll find a link to schedule a one-on-one private Zoom call with AJ and myself, and this is whether you're in Alabama or any of the other states. If you just want to learn a little bit more about the model, maybe if you had some questions about some of the things that we went over today, what these changes would mean for you, just book a call with us. We'd be happy to explain it in detail for your specific situation, learn more about you, your goals, what you're trying to do, and see if this might be the right fit for you. So we appreciate you guys tuning in as always. AJ, anything else before we go?
I would love to meet you. You guys click below, come meet us. Let's have a good conversation, and let's see if we'd be a good set to partner with.
Hey, look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Tune in again to the next episode of Behind the Scenes with LPT Realty. And until then, be well.